Yes, guys, how's it going? Welcome along to All for United. It's Friday night. It's the Burnley preview. It's only Burnley. We said that before the Sheffield United game, didn't we? I'm getting really bad deja vu at the moment when I say that about the upcoming matches for United. But welcome along. Wherever you're watching right now, come and join us in the live chat as we chat about a number of talking points, including Paul Pogba's comments on Jose Mourinho and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's management. We're going to chat about Eddie Baby. We're going to be talking a bit about Cavani as well. And we're going to be giving you the full preview. We're going to be chatting a little bit in depth about what we can expect from Burnley and what United team we expect to turn up against Sean Dyche's army. They're not really just men, are they? There is army. They battle to him. They go to the sword for him. In the fan zone tonight, we've got some fantastic Reds joining us. Stu's in. How you doing, mate?
How we doing?
James is in. We've got Gary in. We've got Jeff in. It's 5 a.m. where them two are. And Vin, I don't even want to guess what time it is where you are, mate. Vin's in as well. Guys, thank you for joining me this evening for the Burnley preview. But I want to start, Stu, with the biggest talking point of the day. Wow, Paul Pogba's spoken. This is what happens when Paul Pogba's given a voice. Yes. He's got a few brownie points from United fans today, hasn't he? What have you seen of the comments and what have you made of them?
I'm glad actually that Pogba's actually come out and spoken. Really, he tends to let his agent do the speaking, and he's very, very quiet in the background, so you never actually know what he's thinking. But he's probably one of the first players that I've heard come and criticise Mourinho, and he's actually perfectly right to do so. Let's face it, Mourinho does act like a child, and he certainly acted like a child after the loss against Spurs. And everything that we kind of heard through the press and through the media about his treatment of certain players as now appears to be true. And I've always kind of been the type of person, which won't surprise you, that if I've got a problem with somebody, you man up and you talk to them. And it appears like Mourinho's plays it a bit like the playground in junior school and just totally blanks people. What I am kind of a fan of, and it may be a little bit controversial here, I am a fan, though, of when Mourinho does come out and hold his players to account publicly. I'm not a fan of managers that believe that you should put your arm around a player. If a player's made a mistake or a player isn't playing well, and we've had 2 or 3 players ourselves, Martial for one, this season, they should be made accountable. And in the modern day, they're not made accountable because they are perceived to be the superstars of the club. So in all, I was very, very pleased with Pogba. I think he's matured this year, parts of last year, and certainly this year. I think he's matured as a player, and he's almost becoming a Manchester United player that I think the fans wanted when we re-signed him 3 or 4 years ago. 3 years ago, I think it was. And so I expect him now to stay in the summer, and I expect him to continue to want to develop and want to win things with our great club. So I was delighted, absolutely delighted.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And I think those comments have opened eyes for a couple of reasons. One, like you said there, potentially now, surely Paul Pogba's not going anywhere. The way he spoke about Ole is clearly loving his football under Ole. Clearly, Ole knew about these comments that he made to make him captain as well last night, which I think was a big telling point as well. But also, I think it made us all realise that, and look, I'm going to speak out, and I might ask you guys your opinion on this a little bit later on. When Sir Alex Ferguson announced his retirement, there was one man that I wanted to manage Manchester United, and that was, and I'm going to call it now, the special one. Because I fell in love with the special one. That guy at Porto, that guy at Chelsea, that guy early at Madrid, that guy at Inter. But I think hearing the comments, seeing how things went for Jose Mourinho at Manchester United, I fell in love with the special one. We got Jose Mourinho. And that guy was not the right guy for Manchester United. That wasn't the manager that I fell in love with. And I think these comments are really telling. And I think the performances are really telling as well. James, let me come over to you now. We've spoken before about Raiola coming out and being Pogba's mouthpiece, and some of the things that he says, is what's on Pogba's mind, but Pogba doesn't say anything. Him coming out and speaking today, does that show, James, a level of confidence from you, from Paul Pogba, and maybe even a bit of a commitment to let us United fans know how he is feeling and how he's felt over the past couple of years?
Yeah, possibly. It's if anything, it's incredibly ballsy because football is very much a PR orientated sport now, isn't it? So to come out in an interview and just completely berate the bloke who publicly berated you is not what you expected. I know I woke up to it this morning and I was incredibly shocked by it. So it's very brave, and I hope he doesn't get in any trouble with it, because you know what it's like nowadays with watching what you say, but. For all this talk that he's not happy and that he's set on a move, he's really not acting like it, is it? Which, if he does still want to move, then I commend him for his professionalism and his desire to give everything for the shirt while he's here. But like the performance yesterday, in 45 minutes, he was still probably man of the match. In a sense, you break it down statistically, he was phenomenal again. And he's not playing like a player who wants to leave. He's not playing how he did under Mourinho, where he didn't really know where he fit in. He wasn't putting in all the effort because, while he didn't want to give 100% effort for someone who wasn't 100% behind him, which is fair enough. So, yeah, I was very happy to see it, especially from a PR standpoint, because you just don't see that sort of thing nowadays, and it's good to get like his actual opinion on things rather than just what the United PR bloke has told him to answer every question beforehand.
A really great comment here, James, on nothing you just said, but from Joe O'Neill. He says, I came here for the preview, but I'm staying for Stu's haircut. Wow. From what we've learned, Joe, apparently Stu went into the hairdressers and went, can I have 2002 David Beckham, please? Bit of a mohawk and a little bit shorter on the sides. And that's what he ended up getting. Look, Stu, at the end of the day, at least it's better than Mark's haircut. And that's all that needs to be said, really.
Well, yeah, that's true.
What a trim by Fred. Completely agree, Stu, from John. There's some comments here with people agreeing with you. James, also a comment here as well from Jacob saying Pogba is such an enigma. I think what you said there in terms of for all the press and tabloid that he gets, he doesn't exactly look like someone who's upset on the football pitch. Vin, let me come over to you quickly and just your reaction to Pogba speaking out like he did today. Were you surprised when you saw the comments, especially on Mourinho?
Yeah, I was quite surprised because whenever Pogba has opened up his mouth, he's always said negative. He's always said, cryptic things about, about wanting a new challenge, or, I'll see where my future lies. So it is quite surprising. Okay, Joe, thank you for that comment. But yeah.
From the other night, wasn't it?
Quite interesting. It's he's just playing from what I tried to do last week. Anyways, but yeah, I was quite surprised when he came out with his comments because he's never, sort of berated Mourinho or any other manager for that matter the way he did in that interview. And also, I just want to give a big shout out to Laura Woods for asking those kind of questions and obviously. I commend Pogba for answering the way he did. It's quite surprising, and I'm frankly quite impressed. Now, is that a sign of whether he stays or not? I'm still not sure. We'll have to see in the summer as to what happens. But if he wants to stay, he's more than welcome to.
Yeah, I'm with you on that as well, Vin. And what I think is quite incredible about these comments, I was just about to put a tweet out about it now, is that I feel like as fans, we didn't really realise how toxic it was behind closed doors whilst Jose was at the helm at United. And now I think we're starting to see that. Jeff, obviously this season we're seeing Luke Shaw play a heck of a lot better. We're seeing Martial and Rashford make improvements. We're seeing Pogba look like a world beater as well under Ollie. So again, I don't know, were you much of a Mourinho lover before he came into the club? And in terms of seeing Pogba's comments now, James saying that he is incredibly brave. Stu mentioned there about him being potentially a lot happier and putting pen on paper to a new contract. Is this the Paul Pogba you want to see? The Pogba that comes out fighting, Jeff?
Of course. A motivated Pogba is what you always want to on the pitch and off the pitch, actually, because I think he's similar to Martial. Like if he's on another level, if he's in a good mood, and I don't really blame him for that. Like some people are just really built that way, And I just saw a while ago also that moment in training when Pogba and Mourinho were fighting, and I guess. When you look back, wow, I mean, that really says a lot about how toxic Mourinho is. I mean, right after Ferguson, like Joe said in the mentions, I wanted Mourinho right after Ferguson. That would have been different. But the Mourinho we got was a bit more cynical, I guess. And, he's just a man stuck in his ways. He just wanted to be the boss all around. And what all he's doing now is perfect in terms of man management. He was like Fergie in terms of he's treated differently, but they're all equal, Yeah, they can be more accountable. They're held more accountable, but in a private way. They always put up this united front, and I guess that's a big thing with the players nowadays, especially with this generation. It can't dent too much their confidence, especially in public. But because when they get on the pitch, they will fight for you, and that's what we're seeing with both Pogba and Shaw. And with Pogba's comments, that's a pretty good sign that negotiations are going good, and hopefully we get a positive outcome come the end of the season, come summer.
And it'd be interesting to see, actually, Tottenham have just drawn 2-2 with Everton. It'd be interesting to see if Mourinho gets asked about the comments after the game and see what he has to say about it, because he will probably look to deflect once more. Gary, let's not forget, Jose Mourinho made some comments about Pogba that he should have been sent off after that Tottenham game. He made comments about Pogba's manager, Ollie. So is it nice for you to see Pogba come out and defend his manager, defend his team in this way? He really did. It's been mentioned before, Gary, but your thoughts on Pogba coming out fighting?
Well, Ben, that's the $1 million question, isn't it? This kind of indirectly is Pogba's way of coming out and showing support for the manager. The funny thing is, Jeff mentioned the clip that they had, that little training ground bust up. There were sections of the supporters, or there were sections of football fans saying that was actually staged. Now it's more of what was really happening behind the scenes. It was good to have Pogba speak up and, well, get the popcorn out, because everybody on this panel knows there will be a reaction from Jose. We just don't know what it's going to be. But it was good. I mean, if I were to ask everybody on this wall like 20 months ago that United were committed to selling Luke Shaw, I think almost everybody would have said yes. But the improvement he's made has just come leaps and bounds under Ollie. And that's a testament to what everybody's been saying, that the way Ollie has managed the players compared to what Jose has been doing has been more than exceptional. And I mean, hopefully we can sign Pogba to another deal, and he can stay and become one of the pillars of this team.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, Gary. Good points well made, everyone, on the Pogba comments. I think for me, and we're going to talk about what he said about Ollie and a bit more in depth about Pogba and his position in just a moment. But for me, I loved it. Just sticking that boot in even a little bit more after we beat Spurs in the way we did. Mourinho's face when Ollie shook his hand, Mourinho's face when he shook Shaw's hand, and Pogba's at the end. Just to, just dig that nail in a little bit more. I absolutely loved that from Pogba today. And I think, Jeff, was it you who mentioned it, or Vim mentioned it? Kudos to Laura Woods for asking the questions that she did and getting that out of Paul Pogba today, because it takes some skill to be able to dig that deep and get such a sophisticated answer off of someone. So shout out to Laura Woods for that. She absolutely smashed that interview. And I can't wait, because there's going to be an even bigger version coming out. All we've seen today are some clips. So can't wait to see what else Paul Pogba has to say. But Stu, staying on Paul Pogba, I put out on Twitter earlier on, is Paul Pogba world class?
Wow.
Now, I've had. Do you want me to lead on this, so I'm not pushing you in at the deep end? I've always said with Paul Pogba, and if we go back 6 months ago, I was on a show with Flawless on Sarcasm City TV, and I said, at this moment in time, for me, Paul Pogba is a player with world-class ability, but he's not a world-class footballer because he hasn't shown it consistently. 2 months ago, before his injury against Everton, I said, this Paul Pogba that we are seeing now is world class, because we're seeing his world class ability mixed with consistency at the highest level. That's a world class footballer. So for you now, Stu, is Paul Pogba world class? Would you categorize him amongst the best at the moment in world football in his position?
So I asked a question on the Q&A panel. Must have been 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Sound off in the live chat, by the way, guys. Sorry, Stu. Sound off in the live chat, by the way, guys.
Yeah, and that question was, can somebody explain to me what world class is? And the reason I said that is because world class is a phrase that gets bandied about and nobody backs it up. Nobody's got a definition of what world class is. Actually, that's probably the best definition I've heard of it, because I think to categorize a footballer at world class level, it's exceptionally difficult, because each player has an ability above other players, whatever that ability may well be. And it may well be his chest control, it may well be his heading ability, it could be a number of different things. And a lot of people would say that world class is the complete player. And you're right, I kind of disagree with that.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to be at a level that the higher echelon at the top of your game, consistency is the key. And when you look at players in the modern era, the only real consistency out there has been Lionel Messi and Ronaldo. Now, as football fans, we've grown up, or certainly in this era, we've been blessed with having two outstanding footballers, outstanding players at the same time competing. And one could argue that those have probably got the best out of each other, and they've had to up their own game to, for a bit of one-upmanship. But they have consistently done it over 10 years, consistently, season in and season out, scoring a raft of goals, playing some superb football. Their vision, their technical ability, their overall game has been at the highest level. With Pogba, I think when he came from Juventus, he was maybe at the tipping point of maybe getting into the lower echelon of just behind a Messi and a Ronaldo. And then he had that time period with us where it set him back such a way because of whether it was his attitude, whether it was injuries, whether he didn't particularly want to be at the club. Nobody really knows. And, we'll find out in the book in about 10 years' time, I would say. And so he's so far behind now, he's having to almost claw and scratch his way back up to be perceived to be just behind the players of the caliber of Messi and Ronaldo. So I think it's a difficult question, Ben, but yours is by far, for me, the best answer I've heard with world class. And I don't want to steal that answer at all, because that's how I would see it. Mm-hmm. I hope I haven't gone over the top with my analogy, but I was just trying to explain.
I think you're spot on, because you've got best in class, which for me are players within their league, within a position, who are the best. And then you've got world class, which is the best in their position amongst world football. And you don't get there off of ability alone. You get there off of consistency. If you can consistently do it for your side, for instance, and I'll go back to it. Think of the team of the years Luka Modric has made. For me, Luka Modric, when you watch him, you don't look at him and go, God, look at him. He's as good as Messi and Ronaldo. You can't compare them. Different positions, different type of players. But when you drill together his world-class ability with his consistency, you've got a world-class footballer there who is in 2 or 3 team of the years in the past decade. Just quickly, Mourinho's responded to Paul Pogba.
Oh, bro.
Sky have asked him. Wait a second. Can I do do you guys know the Kermit emoji where he sips a cup of tea?
Oh, I've not seen that, no. But
I will do that right now. Jose Mourinho is rattled. Mourinho responds to Paul Pogba. I'd like to say that I could not care less what he says. I am not interested at all. And leaves the interview.
Do you know
that's completely opposite of what he said, Yeah.
Do you know what we're having with Mourinho right now? We're having the Kevin Keegan moment relived. We're having the what's his name? Benitez moment relived. We're having the Wenger moment relived in the modern era. And Mourinho was always against that type of pushback, wasn't he? He was always against it because he was always the one giving it. He was the one that was giving it the big and all the time.
Hates being on the other end, doesn't he?
Yeah,
hates being on the other end.
It's really interesting. And thank you, James, by the way. Thank you for your comment, mate.
Oh, I didn't mean to leave it up that long, mate. I've put you on a pedestal there. So talking about having our own shows, well, Stu, James actually has his own show. So I'm expecting him to wipe the floor here of all of us. James, let me come over to you. World class. I think we sort of hit on that with Paul Pogba. But we're talking about best in class and positions as well within that. Where is Paul Pogba's best position? Because whenever we put together our dream teams for next year, I think most of us, maybe before recent games, would have gone, Paul Pogba has to play in the middle with a new defensive midfielder. But for me, he's far more effective on that left-hand side, far more effective, and has played his best football in the United shirt out there as well. You think about that half against AC Milan, absolutely fantastic. I think there's a game against City, if not at the end of last season, the start of this season, where he was brilliant out there. And of recent, he's been great there as well. So James, where is Paul Pogba's best position?
I think he's got many different best positions in many different systems. I think it all depends on how you want your team to play. I think if we're playing against a team that is better than us, then I don't want to see Paul Pogba out on the left, because we're so devastating on the counter that I don't think Paul Pogba adds anything to that over maybe a Rashford or a Dan James. But so in that sense, you want him in the middle. Maybe in front of either alongside a quality defensive midfielder or just in front of him, because it goes a bit unnoticed how good he is defensively because of his physicality and his ability to read the game. But his attacking is the reason we spent so much on him. Is his attacking ability. And I think if we're playing against low blocks, like Spurs did in that second half, then Pogba out on that left, it's really a free role, isn't it, that Pogba has. He is on the left, but he can go wherever he wants, really, when he's drifting inside. And we saw the best of him. He's the key to breaking down defences, especially when Bruno Fernandes is being marked out the game by three players. I think, especially with the lack of creativity we have in midfield at the minute, I think Pogba offers so much more than Rashford or a Martial or a James out on that left wing, who are just getting behind with their speed and finish sort of players. I think he has more space out on the wing. That's worth noting as well. It's much less congested around the midfield. So he's got that time and space to really unlock the defence, which we really struggle with, don't we? I think I'd like to see him played there against Burnley. I think this will be a real test of just how good he is out there. But to answer your question, it's been a bit long-winded. I couldn't say that left wing position is his best position yet, because I just haven't seen enough of him there. But the signs are very good, and I also don't want to take anything away from his ability to play centre midfield, because I'd say sort of Premier League wise, if we're talking an all-round midfielder, we're classing De Bruyne as a attacking midfielder. I think Paul Pogba can be best in class, which you give him credit for. But from what we like, the Spurs game and the Milan game and even the Granada game before he came off, he was incredible on that left-hand side. So, I'm definitely interested to see him play there more.
It's all about the partnerships, isn't it, James? Really, if we've got a decent, I think Fred puts it right here. I think if we had a capable six, he'd play better in the middle as he can push forward and play to his strengths. I think it's no surprise that the closer to Bruno and Cavani he is, the better we see Paul Pogba, because he communicates and plays well with those two. Vin, would you agree on the world class statement that Stu said, and would you agree with James that really it comes down to the team that we play against as to where Paul Pogba starts, but ultimately he has to be in that starting lineup now. There's no chance of Ollie doing a Mourinho and putting him out and putting him on the bench.
Yeah, regarding the world-class statement, I agree with what you said, that he's a player who has world-class talents and abilities, but he's not truly world-class because he has been inconsistent, at least for us at United. When he first came in, he was really good in the first season, and then he had a couple of not so great seasons because of his rift with Mourinho, and then he's trying to find himself in the team, what his best position was. So that could be one of the reasons as well. So, I totally agree with your statement on that. He has the potential to be a world-class player. It's just that he hasn't sort of had a steady position in the team. Like, he hasn't been able to start week in, week out consistently. And because of that, he hasn't been able to put in those, consistent world-class performances. And I think even under Ole, he's had phases where he's been absolutely brilliant. But then when he gets injured and he's out for a while, when he has to come back into the team, he doesn't really play well at times. So again, inconsistency is what prevents him from being a world-class player. But he definitely has world-class abilities. And regarding his best position, I was just sort of reading about Paul Pogba when he was at Juventus under Conte, and a bunch of articles. What they say is that he works at best when he's playing to the left and right of the attacking midfielder. And under Juventus, he was playing to the left and right of Andrea Pirlo, and 3-5-2. But even when Conte shifted to a 4-3-3, he was again playing best as one of the two midfielders, either on the left and right in that midfield three. So I think ideally, the left wing is not his position, but just because we're playing that 4-2-3-1 right now, I think that left wing sort of midfield wing sort of position works best for him. But ideally, he would prosper a lot more if we played a 4-3-3, and for which you would need a proper number 6. You get that number 6, you have those two midfielders up front, so you have Bruno and then Pogba playing either on the left and right of the midfield. So I think that's where he would really prosper.
Yeah, great shout. Yeah, well put. And Jeff, let me come over to you from what Vince just said there with Paul Pogba and his improvements and where he is prospering at the moment within this side. How much do we have to credit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer here for his man management of Paul Pogba? Because for that Leipzig game, when the comments came out like they did, I think most of the fan base turned around and went, he's done. He's done. He's not going to put the effort in now. He clearly wants to move away. He's done. And it looks like Ole has just completely trusted him in the Leipzig game. He keeps trusting him. He's getting the best out of Pogba. Pogba said that and clearly Pogba respected Ole's management after that, because today in the interview, Pogba came out and said that Ole would never throw his players under the bus. He'd always be there for his players. That clearly means something. Something's happened there. We can all see that it happened. It was all in the public eye, and Ole clearly reacted it to better than other managers would have. Pogba's credited him with that. So how much do we have to credit Ole here for his man management, his handling of Pogba?
Well, one thing that's going on for Ole right now is that he's got some social capital with Pogba, just because they go way back from the academy, and I guess that's what the advantage of Ole compared to the other managers when it comes to Pogba in terms of this context. Yeah, even though Pogba doesn't get picked, he understands and he knows how Ole can tap him anytime. And as I mentioned earlier, Ole can be ruthless. I mean, you can see when he's mad, he's scary mad, right? And I'm pretty sure that behind the scenes, in between those walls of the locker room, if the players don't get it right, then he'll be giving them the hairdryer treatment, basically. But when it comes to the public, he comes off and defends the players just because he doesn't want to get them embarrassed. And I think that's a big thing for footballers nowadays, especially if you have that social media branding, personal branding going on. You don't want that tarnished. So in terms of Ole getting that credit, in terms of man management, he gets a lot of credit from me. I'm a practicing psychology guy, so his positive psychology outside the walls of the locker room is just perfect in this generation of footballers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely agree with that. And Gary, one final point I want to make on Paul Pogba. I'm setting you up here, mate. All this chat, we've gone through everyone. We've had 2 rounds here on Paul Pogba. So tell us, Gary, is he staying at United this summer? Is he going to sign? Is he going to sign that thing? What's going on? Tell us, Gary. Gary's in the know, by the way, if you didn't know. Gary's proper in the know.
Oh, yeah. That's the easiest question to answer, is it? There's a part of me that hopes he stays because of his ties to the club. There's a part of me that's holding out that he still believes in that part of him, that he wants to really bring this team back to where it's supposed to be. He's got a manager that supports him. They have a history together. At this point, I'd probably say 70-30 Pogba resigns. Let me put it this way. We have a better chance of re-signing him now than we were probably 5 to 6 months ago. And that's a good thing. And plus the fact that it's also worth noting that he finally has somebody he can play off with in Bruno and operate in those half spaces, like the adjustments that they did in the second half versus Tottenham. And that's big. in terms of being able to not just be that one creative outlet. Because essentially, if I look at Paul Pogba as a player, he's basically positionless, and that he goes around more and takes a free role, just as James mentioned. But 70-30, if I believe in my heart of hearts, he'll resign.
Fingers crossed, mate. Fingers crossed, because if there's one thing for sure, Manchester United are better with Paul Pogba than without him. So let's hope that we can keep building the team around him, Bruno, and Mason, and of course Rashford. I just think again, this is a completely different conversation, but I think it's so scary that Rashford has played this season, clearly affected by an injury, and has put up the numbers that he has. Imagine a fully fit Marcus Rashford. It's absolutely terrifying, that. But let's move on from Pogba. Guys, sound off in the live chat. If you're not over on YouTube, youtube.com/AllForUnited. Everyone watching now, if you just take 1 second to smash that like button. I've not said it yet, but it really helps us grow. So please smash that like button. And if you fancy quickly sharing the vid onto your Twitter or Facebooks, please feel free to do that as well. Let's get more Reds involved in the chat tonight. We've got a fantastic group of Reds here, so come and get them involved, and feel free, go and quickly grab a can or a bottle from the fridge and enjoy your Friday night. Or if you're where Jeff and Gary are, where are you again, Jeff? Whereabouts are you?
Manila.
You're in Manila. Well, if you're in the Philippines, then grab a can and a beer to start your day, I suppose. Why not? Is that frowned upon in the Philippines? I don't know. Still, do it. Why not? Technically, the sun isn't up yet, so it's still nighttime. Party hard. But moving on to the Burnley game, Stu, it's one of those games. I feel like everything's going so well. The squad's for the confidence. I'm for the confidence. The fan base is for the confidence, just like we were before the Sheffield United game. What could possibly go? Even the seats are now a different colour, so that the teams make sure. What did you make of that, Stu? You play football. What do you make of the players turning around and saying to Ollie, let's not get this wrong, by the way. Ollie said they spoke to the players on the pitch trying to pick out a pass. They see the red seats, and that's a problem for them. It wasn't Ollie saying it's a problem, players saying it's a problem. What do you make of that?
Well, it's a throwback to the Fergie era, isn't it? The old Southampton match and the grey shirts. Yeah, it was brilliant. I loved it. I like stuff like that. It just shows to me that Ollie is doing everything that he can to obviously make the squad better, but everything he can to instill that Ferguson kind of era and aura back to the club, and that can only be a good thing. So I loved it. I like stuff like that. A bit of shithousery never hurts anyone, does it? And that's what that is. Coming on to Burnley, what could go wrong? Look, I love Burnley, actually. I think they're a great side. I like them because they play a 4-4-2. They're workmanlike, they're industrious, they're a tough nut to crack. They're they've got some tacklers in there. They've got Chris Wood, an real old fashioned Martin Joe Jordan type of centre forward, an absolute bustler. Get in there, throw his head in there, gets his fair share of goals. But they're very good at the back. Their two centre halves in particular are superb, Tarkowski and me. One thing will go in our favour. I think they're missing Pope, aren't they? I think he's still out injured, which means they've got a youngster in goal. I can't remember his name, Peacock, I think, something along those lines. I fully expect us to win. I think it'll be an ugly game. I think where we are, I think we've got over our little blip actually from about 6 weeks ago where we were playing awful football and just grinding out results. I think we're playing better football at the moment. Pogba's re-emergence into the side has been the catalyst of that for me. Just quickly touching on him, I'm with James on that one, by the way. I think he can float left to right. And I think he's actually the perfect foil for Donny van der Beek. Once we get that real quality, top quality holding midfielder, him and Donny van der Beek and Fernandes will be phenomenal for us. But that's what I'm hoping to see next year. So I expect a tough game. I expect a Sean Dyche game. Burnley themselves, they're not in that great deal of trouble. I think they're on 33 points, play 31 or 32 games. I think 2 more wins and they're safe. And they've got enough in the locker to get 2 more wins. I think Sheffield United can go down this weekend, can't they, if results go against them and they don't win. And so I expect Burnley to come, sit with 2 banks of 4 and try and hit us on the counter-attack. But I expect an easy win.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed, mate. I hope so. I think ultimately, if Pope is out and they've got that young lad in goal again, we need to test him. We just need to test him. We need to create chances. We need to get the ball down his throat early and give him something to do and rattle him a bit. So just hopefully we can create a bit more. James, do you want to say what you've just put in the group chat? Not to divert, but go on, mate. You steal the show. Go on. Look, I'll even put you on a full screen. Here you go, mate. Go on. Sing your heart
pressure
out.
or anything. Just that a BBC journalist who's sort of semi-reliable has confirmed that Varane's now our number one defensive target. He has been as soon as they found out he was even remotely available. So that's something to look forward to, I suppose. Yeah,
Konstantin Ekner, I think is how you pronounce his name. I've been in chat, talked to him actually for the last few weeks, try and get him on a show. So hopefully now that he's speaking about United transfer news, maybe he might jump on for 15, 20 minutes to chat about that. But yeah, I've just seen the tweet. Once United realised a move for Varane could be possible, he became their number one centre-back target. I say, I'm really shocked that United are so actively chasing a centre-back. For me, my biggest concern at the moment is if Cavani's not... I think if Cavani's staying, not as worried. Go for a centre-back, go for a defensive midfielder. If Cavani is leaving, I feel like we have to put all our eggs in a striker's basket and really go for a quality striker. I can't see us signing a striker, centre back, and defensive midfielder, and a Sancho or whatever. I said this the other day. Potentially Pogba performing like he's on the left hand side. I think, unfortunately for Sancho, that's ended that transfer because you just can't physically fit all the forwards that we've got and Sancho into this front line. I think Ollie looking into next season will potentially be looking at, again, just throwing names up there: Rice, McTominay, Rashford, Bruno, Pogba, Cavani, or another number 9. And who knows what he's going to do at centre-back. So it's going to be really interesting to see where that goes. But James, let me come back over to you here about the game on Sunday. How are you feeling? Are you like Stu? Are you expecting us to give him a good hiding, or are you slightly nervous? These are the games we've lost at Old Trafford this season.
Yeah, I'm kind of nervous. I should be expecting a big win, and I think if we carry on playing as we have, especially against Spurs, then it shouldn't be a problem. But Burnley at home is especially for United, it's never an easy game, is it? We don't have a good record at all. But yeah, I expect us to. I actually expect Pogba to start in the middle, despite what I said earlier. Because if you remember last time we played Burnley, we just stacked our squad. We stacked our team with the tallest, most physical players to sort of combat their Brexit ball sort of style. So I'd see probably a partnership of Matic and Pogba in that midfield just to give us that bit extra cover. But it all depends on how Ollie sets out. I think as long as the players can, as they were against Spurs, quick passing, quick interplay, getting in behind, if at all possible, then we should be right. And like you said, if Pope's not in goal as well, then we've got Pogba and Fernandes between them. Have got an incredible ability to hit the ball from outside the box. So I think that could be an option. Cavani's movement, he can follow up on those when they inevitably get spilled. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what sort of team he puts out. I don't know whether Cavani would be as good against Burnley because he scores most of his goals with his head. But obviously, the two Burnley centre backs are probably the best two centre backs in the league as a partnership. So I'm not sure how effective he'd be even with his incredible movement. But it'll be very interesting to see. I expect to win, but that's not me saying I'm confident either, because games like this go against us, especially with the form we're on and the position in the league that we are. It seems to all be adding up to perhaps being a little bit disappointed. I hope not, but I can't help but be nervous.
He only scores the majority of his goals with his head, though, because for whatever reason, our two midfielders and defenders don't take enough risks when passing the ball. We saw what can happen when Lindelof put that ball over the top to Rashford in the first leg against Granada. We've got to be a bit more ballsy on the ball. And I think that's part of the problem. Anyway, let me just quickly come over to a totally different comment. Fred, for 32 minutes, I've been trying to figure out who Stu reminds me of with his trim. Google Rob Green handlebar. Should we check it out, guys? Should we see if Fred is right here? Stu, just quickly look up into the camera a second. I mean, if that is not uncanny, I don't know. Stu, are you still there? Stu, is that?
Yes, I'm crying. Yeah, crying. Dear me, it's going. The trouble is, I'm losing it on top, so I'm trying to compensate a bit.
Hey, Stu, if I was this handsome, if I was a Rob Green, look at that. Your top is almost in line as well with the shoulders. It looks like this is actually just a bit of a dodgy wallpaper there, I think, from Rob Green.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, well done, Fred. I mean, that's a
Fred.
good look like. Do you know what? The other week, I don't know who it was, but someone sounded off. I think that was Fred as well, that Jonathan from the MU Women's Show on Uncut looked like Judge Jules. And now Stu is our resident Rob Green. Check that out. And of course, Vin is our pun guy as well. In it to Vin it and all this and that. Anyway, Vin, let me come over to you with Burnley. It also looks like that they're going to have Dwight McNeil out. They've got Robbie Brady out. They've got Ashley Barnes out. Long is out as well. United just without Martial. Harry Maguire and Scott McTominay, Shaw, of course, all back. Rashford being assessed. I think Eric Bailly's gone, personally. I don't think we'll actually see him in the United shirt again. That might be controversial, but I really don't think he's an option. So when it comes to United, you're expecting the same team that started the game against Granada, and if so, how do we create more chances against Burnley than we have done in recent weeks in the first half?
Yeah, so I think obviously Maguire, McTominay, and Shaw do come back in, and I have a feeling Rashford will start. So I think what's going to happen with Rashford from now until the end of the season is that he's not going to play a full 90 minutes. So you're not going to expect him to play full 90 minutes. I think how Ole is going to manage him is that he's going to play, say, a game like Burnley. He's going to play, if he starts, he's going to play for like 60 minutes, and then he's going to get subbed off. So you're going to have someone like James coming in for the remaining 20, 30 minutes. And if he doesn't start, he can come on, say, either at halftime or at 50 minutes, and then he's going to get 30, 40 minutes as well. So I think that's how you're going to see Rashford from now until the end of season, unless it's a Europa League final or unless it's a very big fixture, something like Liverpool or something. So for tomorrow, I think he'll start, but then he won't play the full 90. I think Cavani does start up top. Of course, you've got Tarkowski and me as their centre backs. And Burnley have always been a physical side. They play the typical British way. They play in a 4-4-2. Sean Dyche always relies on their physicality to sort of edge out and drag games down to the final whistle and get a draw or get or sneak out a win. And so it's going to be, so Bruno is going to be important. Pogba is going to be important in terms of chance creation. And I think that's why Rashford starts as well, just to give the extra bit of lethalness in the attack. And Cavani is going to be key as well. His headers and his movement in and around the box is going to be key to unsettling that partnership at the back for Burnley. So in terms of our defense, given the fact that Ashley Barnes is out, Dwight McNeil is out as well. So in terms of our defense, we should be fairly comfortable. We shouldn't expect too much from Burnley's attack, but we definitely have to attack their defense as well.
Yeah, I'm completely with you. And not to scare anyone here, but Burnley are playing for a little bit of history. They can be only the second team in Premier League history this weekend to avoid defeat in 5 consecutive trips to Manchester United. We've not beaten Burnley at home in frigging ages. Ages.
Yeah, I mean, the last time that they did we were a disjointed side completely, because we were like messed up from top to bottom. I mean, I think Phil Jones was starting against Burnley for us. I might be wrong here, but I think he was. And since then, we've come a long way. We're in great form. And so it's a banana skin nevertheless, but I think we should do well with this one.
I hope so. Stu and James, why are you humouring Karthik? If there's surely one thing you've learned being on shows at All for United, it's do not make that kid's head any bigger. Do you know the first thing he said to Donny van der Beek? By the way, if you guys don't know, Karthik met Donny van der Beek today, or a very good Donny van der Beek lookalike, I reckon, because you would have run a mile if Karthik walks up to you, honestly, because the first thing Karthik said to Donny van der Beek was, I met Wayne Rooney once. Yeah, I'm gone, mate. Do you know what I mean? I'm gone. He's adding that to his collection. But that's a new post. I bet that is now his profile picture, isn't it, on Twitter? I bet it is. Anyway, and do you know what I'm most disappointed with, Karthik? You didn't even do a live video with him. Imagine the views, mate. I could have monetized that and made enough money to feed my kids. How dare you? Jeff, let me come over to you. Burnley, potential banana skin. We've spoken there about their very good record at Old Trafford. I'm a little bit nervous going into it. Surely we must win to keep the pressure on City if we actually want 21 to happen this year.
Of course. Thing is, to be fair, as a fan, I'm not as nervous as the games like before West Brom and Sheffield. For some reason, I didn't feel good coming into the game, but now I'm feeling pretty good. Then again, with all these young keepers coming into Old Trafford, I mean they transform into classic Oliver Kahn all of a sudden, right? So we just gotta keep bombarding them with these chances, as you said, right? So in terms of coming into the game, I feel pretty confident with the form that we're coming in with. We have Pogba running on a motivated mindset. Bruno's not as consistent as he was before, but playing off Pogba has been terrific for him. And then we get rested players. I mean, rest has been a big luxury this season. And as we saw, like right after that Leicester disaster in the FA Cup, we got an international break wherein, they were in the lineups, but they didn't play. And then that's where our current form began. So I'm confident that we can not really a rough shot and overrun those Burnley, but at least get a comfortable result at the very least. And as Stu mentioned, those black seats right now, that's a big thing. It's really a big thing. It shows that the club listens to the players, and shows that, hey, it looks mundane, but let's do it, And I think it showed last game. Their passes were still a bit sloppy, but not as sloppy as we have seen this season. So I hope we get that in mind, that we haven't beaten them in the last 4 games. So we have to get that mindset and have that mindset of not being complacent and just kill the game off right off the bat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with you there, Jeff. And do you want some more stats? Statman Ben is in the building, everybody. I love the Premier League website. It's great. United can equal Newcastle's record from the 2001-2002 Premier League season, coming from behind to win 10 matches in a season. Let's hope it doesn't get to that. Bloody hell, squeaky bum time or what? And United are the only club in not just England, but Europe to have played in every single midweek in 2020-2021 so far. They will get their first 3 midweek after the Burnley game. So no excuse, Gary, to rest anyone, eh? Time to go all guns blazing. Let's make a statement against Burnley. How confident are you of, like what Stu said, United putting off a really decisive performance to heap more pressure on City? 21 in 21 is coming, as we've got 21 live viewers.
Nice segue there, Ben.
You're living, mate. Can you believe it?
Yeah, but I will say this though. I'm also confident, like the other lads are, and then the people watching for the game. However, the thing about Burnley is you're not going to mistake them for 2009 and to 2011 Barcelona. They're not going to put the ball on the floor and start passing it around. They're pretty unapologetic, and then they're pretty effective at what they do. And I haven't checked, but I'd like to see the number of goals we've conceded from set pieces this season, because that is possibly a very huge scenario where they could hurt us, coming off the aerial abilities of both Tarkowski and Ben Mee. I wouldn't also be surprised to see if they've played all games this season for Burnley, because they're basically the bedrock of that. One danger person, I don't know if he's playing, is probably Westwood. He's I think made more passes this season, probably next to maybe me or Pope. But I probably with McNeil out, Westwood would probably be the danger man that we should all be looking for in terms of his ability to pick out a pass. But yeah, I'm if it gets to a set piece situation, that's something that we have to look at. And yeah, I mean, we win all our games. Who knows? We'll get number 21.
I love how Ollie said that as well. Did you hear him? Like, we never give in. We're United. We're aiming to win all our games between now and the end of the season. But we've all just been spending way too much time with this guy, to be quite honest with you. But hey, look, if you are not a football fan, if you are a football fan and you love your football club, you will believe in this nonsense until mathematically it is over. So I am still in that train because football's all about romance. And if there's no romance, football is dead. So for me, it's all about believing in the hype, and I cannot wait. Thanks, Jeff. Cheers for that, mate. Right, let's move on. Teams. I think I might come to each of you per position, if that's all right, guys, and then we'll see if everyone sort of does agree with what we're going and what we're going with. Stu, De Gea seems to be our cup goalkeeper now. Henderson in the league. So do you expect him back in for this one?
Yeah, assuming it'll be Henderson. Yeah.
Cool.
No arguments.
No, just done. Henderson.
Yeah.
I take it we're all in agreement. Henderson's to start against Burnley, right, guys? Nods, yeah, nods everywhere. I would have just bet on James sitting on the fence. Oh yeah, I would go Henderson, but De Gea as well. Oh, I love them both. James, Wan-Bissaka got about 2 minutes off against Granada, but do you expect to see him start as well at right back?
Oh, it's a very tough one, isn't it, with all the competition he's got? But yeah, he'll probably start.
I'm giving you two the most easy ones. And I take it we're all in agreement with centre-back as well. Maguire, Lindelof back in there together. Left-back, Vin, let me come to you quickly because I take it we're all going to go for Luke Shaw. But for you, when Telles has played this season, Vin, has he taken his chances?
In comparison to Shaw, no. But he has done a decent job whenever he's been called upon. He hasn't done... he's played decently. He's done what he's supposed to do. Puts in those crosses, defends decently. Obviously, Shaw is better in those attributes, but he's done a half-decent job. So, but even then against Burnley, I definitely play Shaw simply because the kind of form he's in. He's been absolutely outstanding. So, I wouldn't say Telles hasn't done bad or he's been horrible, but it's just not been at the same levels as Shaw. And that's not a bad thing, honestly, because Shaw's been, I think, it's been a resurgence of him really this season.
Oh, I agree, guys. Put your starting 11s in the live chat as well, and I'll put on your put it all on screen in just a moment's time. That's everyone who's watching. Get them in the live chat. I said that really badly, but still, if you want to put your 11s in the live chat, is what I'm saying. Carfix says he's been all right by usual standards. Never a bad game, but sure is the best left back in Europe. So, and I think that's spot on. I think unfortunately for Telles, we have got one of the best fullbacks in world football at the moment, and unfortunately, nothing Telles will do at the moment will look anywhere near what Shaw's producing. So it's tough on the lad, isn't it? Jeff, let me come over to you for the midfield. Fred's been playing a lot of minutes. Fred frustrates the hell out of me, man. Like, he needs a kick up the backside every game to put in a half decent performance. And we sing about it like it was the best performance of a midfielder that whole bloody weekend, and it was nowhere near. Against Granada, he was just Stu, right? You obviously play a bit of football, and you have played a bit of football.
Yeah.
He's a professional freaking footballer, and he can't pass a... Do you sit there?
He's Brazilian.
Oh,
Jeez.
I hate getting on players' backs, but...
Yeah, the thing about Fred is that he's got the potential to be a very, very good central defensive midfielder.
Yeah.
But his brain won't allow him to be a very good central defensive midfielder. And all he's got to do is marshal the back four. He gets the ball, he takes it either off Pogba, Fernandez, if they're coming backwards. He takes it from any of the fullbacks or any of the centre halves who are going forwards. He gets it, he looks around, and he pops it off 2 or 3 yards. And then he walks 2 or 3 yards to take it back, and he pops it off again. And that's all the CDM does.
On that as well, Stu, as well, when he's on the ball, he's really athletic. He can turn a footballer and show shades of his movement and how and his ability, so to speak, guarding the ball and being on the ball. Off the ball. Sorry, my bad. It's the other way around. Off the ball, he can sort of win the ball back, put in a tackle, show his athleticism. But then on the ball, he gets caught flat all the time and central all the time. He's so easy to tackle. So easy to tackle
too. He's always touch heavy.
He doesn't arch his body.
Yeah. That's what I mean. His athleticism isn't there when he's got the ball.
If you arch your body slightly and just make yourself just slightly wide, you become a nightmare. You know that goal where
he is a freaking nightmare.
Leicester, where we gave it against Leicester. If he'd held the ball in, arched his body, made himself wide, he could have popped it off to the left and popped it off to the right, or he would have got it under control, and laid it back to Henderson.
That's why I refuse to blame Maguire for that goal, because I just feel like Fred should do so much better in opposition. But anyway, look, we've only got a handful of fit midfielders right at the moment, Jeff. So is it Fred and McTominay for you, or has Matic done enough to potentially get a start?
No, I don't think Matic can start. He's just, the legs aren't there for a full 90. But maybe Fred gets a rest, McTominay gets a start, and maybe if Rashford starts, then he's going to partner with Pogba. That's how I see it. Yeah,
it's a good job that you didn't say that Matic was shit, because the head of the Matic fan club is actually on this panel today, and I think he would have cried if. Oh no, sorry. Have you cut that allegiance, James? Is that allegiance now well and truly gone?
I think now that his legs are gone, it's like a racehorse. Like, you still love him, but you can't keep on that same track, can you?
Yeah,
once the legs
wait
are
a
gone,
second. So wait a second. You are basically saying that we should do to Matic what they do with racehorses when the legs have gone. Is that what you've just said publicly?
Don't kill Nemanja Matic. Stop making him perform every week.
Brilliant.
I think what we've got to do on this, and we've got to do an episode at the end of the season where we clip up shows from early on in the season and play back clips, because James talking about Nemanja Matic at the start of the season compared to now would just be so hilarious. But James, I'm with you. We played our best football last season with Nemanja Matic holding in the midfield. So 100%, I completely get what you're saying. But also you were so wrong. Gary, let me come over to you. So, sorry, did we go Fred and McTominay in midfield? Are we all in agreement with that? I take it. There's not really any other options, is there?
McTominay and Pogba for me.
McTominay, Pogba. Oh, okay, so you bring Pogba back. So McTominay, Pogba, everyone, are we happy with that? Yeah, McTominay, Pogba.
I'm kind of on the fence with that, only because...
don't do that, Stu. You'll get splinters.
I know, and I take Vin's point about Rashford. I'm just not 100% sure he'll risk Rashford on Sunday. But we've got Leeds the following game, but I think we've got a week off, haven't we?
Which is exactly why I was saying Rashford might start.
So
yes, that's what Vin said.
And Vin is right, and I bow down to Vin on this one.
Right.
But I'm kind of torn, and I'm going to have to go McTominay, Fred, unfortunately.
Okay, there's always one. There's always one, isn't there? So what do you want to do? Should we just end the show now because we can't agree? Like what? Do we shake hands? I just think he'll refer to type, Ollie. I do. I just think he'll refer to type. Okay, interesting. So what about you then, Gary? We've spoken about the midfield there. What about the three behind the striker? This is going to be the interesting one. Maybe we'll start on the right-hand side with you. Does Rashford go out there to put Pogba on the left for you, or do we play Greenwood on the right, Rashford on the left? What are you saying, Gary?
Ben, I think Pogba's gonna play right behind with Bruno, and Marcus is gonna start. Mason's just gonna come off the bench. For me, I'd like to point out what James brought up earlier regarding Burnley's physicality. We're gonna need as much movement as we possibly can, and I'd put Pogba on the right with Bruno and with Rashford, and then eventually sub Marcus off, and then bring Dan James on or Mason Greenwood.
Oh, interesting. Okay, cool. Are we all in sort of agreement with? I know, Stu, you've tinkered with your. You're putting potentially Pogba on the left, I think, as well. So for you, would it be Rashford on the right or Greenwood on the right?
I would. I'm going to go with Greenwood. I just think that if it was Leeds this weekend, I think Rashford would be an absolute shoe-in, Vin, if I'm being honest. Because it's Burnley, I think he might give him that extra week. And that's no disrespect to Burnley, but I would, because I think Cavani will start up top. I know some of the people in the comments are saying Cavani's played 2 games, rest him. But I wouldn't. He's in that vein of form now. So I wouldn't. So for me, rest Rashford.
Well, do you know what we've got to do, Stu? Because the god of this chat, James, who's got his own show, so he knows what he's talking about. Yes. He earlier on said that Pogba has to start against low blocks because he has a bit of creativity in that free roll. So I think we can only go to James here to talk sense about the formation we go with to start against Burnley. So James, I take it you're going with Pogba on the left, McTominay, Fred holding, and who's on the right then?
So I sort of shot myself in the foot here, didn't I? I think
you've not
like,
gone against it. You've not done.
I'm
No,
not.
you've not
I'm
done
not going
it,
against it. I'm not going against it. But it's going to be a big game for Fred and Matic if Pogba doesn't start in the midfield, because I thought Pogba would start against Burnley in the midfield because of his physicality. But then I've got to back my own point up, because if he doesn't start on the left hand side, then I don't see us scoring more than one goal. So, I'm in a catch-22 here. I'll back myself. He's going to start on the left. He's going to set up 2 goals, and we'll win comfortably. Happy days. You'll be clipping this up at the end of the season, going, "Wow, he is a messiah."
Who, you or Pogba, or who are we talking about exactly here? Both. Interesting. What about up top, Vin? Cavani, dead cert, first name on the team sheet at the moment.
Yep. Cavani starts for me. I'm gonna start Greenwood as well on the right, just to go back to the back 3, because I've got McTominay and Pogba in my midfield. And Rashford starts for me in my lineup. Rashford on the left, Fernandes as a number 10, and Greenwood on the right for me. And yeah, Cavani up top. And I mean, I can see in the chat people are saying, "Oh, he can't play 3 games a week, and you got to manage him carefully." But I feel that given the form that he's in, he scored against Spurs, and he had a good game against Granada as well. I just feel that, and also considering the fact that we've got a week's long rest until the Leeds game, I feel that you can just play him for this one, and his physicality will be useful against Burnley's defense. So for that reason, yeah, he starts for me up top. And then as for Leeds, I probably won't play him for the Leeds game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, guys, be nice, by the way, in the live chat. Let's not rubbish people's opinions. Let's have a debate and have a nice chat about it. That's what we're all here for. But I personally have to be with Ugly Bear on this one. For me, I think, unfortunately, due to injuries, Cavani hasn't had a chance to string together a number of games yet in a number of competitions. And as a club that we said earlier on the statistic that's played every midweek of this season, this calendar year of the season so far, when we've not seen Cavani, it's probably felt like a lot more times than when we have seen Cavani. For that reason, we're playing football all the time. Cavani's been micromanaged. He started slowly. People forget that. He started really slowly at United and was struggling slightly to find his feet, then picked up some niggles, some injuries, so really, really struggled to get a run of form. Now he's in a run of form and he looks really fit and he's running his heart out. We've got to just play him. And if he gets an injury, I'm with Ugly Bear here. We can't be starting with a number 9 next season that can only play 1 out of 3 games. That's not how you win titles. That's not how you win trophies. That's not how you have a 30-goal a season striker that's going to take you to that next level. And that's where United are struggling at the moment. So Cavani needs to prove it. As much as we all want Cavani to sign a contract for the effort that we've seen from him, Cavani also needs to prove to the club as a footballer that he can do the job that the club needs. And for me, that's why now Cavani has to play. I get the comments. I understand we want to wrap him in cotton wool, so to speak, but there is no wrapping footballers in cotton wool when you've got the fixture congestion that we've got. They've got to play. They've got to be fit. I come back to Bruno's comment. He's a bit younger. I get it. He's a bit earlier on in his career. But as he said, if I'm not fit to play football now when I'm currently playing and I'm in the prime of my career, then God knows what I'm going to be like, when I'm at my final year. If we're seeing Cavani now being that player in his final year, there is no chance we should just be stringing it up with a contract extension, because we need a number 9 firing on all cylinders. So not to rubbish anyone's comments. I'll stick them up on screen if you want to pitch in on that. But that's my personal opinion, and shout out to Ugly Bear for putting that in. And please, guys, feel free to sound off about that in the live chat if you want. Jeff and Gary, just going to come over to you two quickly. I've just tweeted out, because I'm just taking general consumption here, and not taking Stu's argument with Vin. Got on fire earlier on. It was like the Andrade and Liam Williams press conference when Stu disagreed with that midfield too. I've gone Henderson, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire, Shaw, McTominay, Pogba, Rashford. Oh no, sorry. Oh my God, I've really kicked myself in the foot here.
McFred.
I've put Pogba in the team twice.
Oh.
What a great admin I am. Look at me.
James, sort him out. Have words.
Yeah.
I told you, I'm
McTominay...
for that presenting role.
Well, James, you can have it, to be honest. My missus is sat on the sofa thinking, take it. We've missed out on line of duty tonight, lads. McTominay, Pogba, and I was going to go Greenwood, Bruno, Rashford, Cavani, just from the general chat. Would you guys be happy with that team? Jeff, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, Rashford got a rest from the Granada game, so he's got a full week off. The only worry about is how Burnley plays in general. He's got to get beat up for sure. down that left-hand side. So that's the only 50-50 for me. Because if he's not going to start, then Pogba comes up to the left, as Stu said, and then it's going to be a McFred midfield once again.
Mm-hmm. Jeff, sorry, I've just seen in a live chat that you wanted to say something on James's comment. Feel free to roast him if I missed you out, mate. By the way,
it's more of Matic is more of a. If we're talking about holding midfielders, then Matic is a holding midfielder, but he's not a defensive.
Is that all you wanted to pitch in?
Yeah. Because I don't know. Sorry. I was telling that because I just reviewed the comment now because when I noticed when we have the ball, it effectively becomes a 3 at the back.
Yeah,
that's why Telles or Shaw, and then AWB just goes right down the flanks, and that will be an effective system if we get that number 6, a decent number 6, and Matic. If it's a center back, maybe it'd work, but he's not gonna be the whole game like that. So yeah, I agree that if we have that number 6 who can consistently go down and pop that short passes, as Stu said, then Telles will be unlocked for sure as a wing back.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
I'll get it absolutely ruined, Jeff, on Twitter for putting 2 Pogbas in the starting lineup, mate. I feel really embarrassed. Let me come over to you, Gary, quickly, so you can have a say. What do you make of that team? And in terms of starting and the Cavani debate, Gary, feel free to pitch in on the Cavani debate. What have you made of him so far? Should we be wrapping him up in cotton wool, or for you, does he go straight in that team?
Well, Ben, on a side note, Demetrius Andrade needs to win that fight to secure himself a payday at 160.
Come on, Liam Williams.
I'm sorry, man, but he needs a payday, and to cement his legacy, he needs to fight Triple G. Everybody at 160 needs to fight Triple G. Huh?
Gary, is it not Charlo next? They were saying today. They reckon that he'll get a fight against Charlo next.
I have my reservations on the Charlos. I think they're too protected. They're trying to guard their brand. I'm sorry. I'm old school. I'm from the Marvin Hagler school of middleweight boxing. It's those fighters in the 80s would absolutely whoop those fighters now. Sorry, if you want to bring me on for a boxing or MMA thing, I'll be more than happy to share my opinion. But back to the game. At a transition, I'll just put it this way. You take a look at Robin Van Persie, you take a look at Ruud van Nistelrooy, you take a look at Andy Cole, you take a look at Dwight York. What do all those guys have in common? They have played at least more than 30 games a season for Manchester United. Edinson Cavani needs to be able to prove that he can play that amount of games because we need a number 9 that's going to be the tip of the spear, so to speak, the focal point of the attack. And, this is the business end of the season, as Ollie said. And we need somebody as that outlet for us to be able to at least be that option to score goals. Marcus is being managed because of his injuries. Mm-hmm. And we need somebody who'll be able to be that goal-scoring threat that we have. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, no, I do completely agree with you. Either way, I think if we look at this squad now and how they're performing and the team camaraderie, so to speak, we're in such a better position than we were. And just look at the conversations we've had today, the majority of it really positive. Although I'll go back to what I was saying. I am shitting it for Sunday because I just feel like it's a game we should win, and I'm slightly worried about it. Look who we've managed to get joined in. It's Mr. Wi-Fi himself.
Am I Mr. Wi-Fi now? Is that what I am?
Well, it's either that or Mr. I met Wayne Rooney and Van der Beek. It's one of the two. I
attract high-profile people. That's all.
Carfit, before I quickly get your thoughts on Burnley, check this out. Do you know, you might have missed this earlier on because you weren't in the live chat. Do you know that someone piped up saying that Jonathan looks like Judge Jules?
Yeah.
Check this out. Stu. Rob Green.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah. That's so unfortunate. Oh, that's
I know.
But you know what, Carfix did a better haircut than Mark's. That's
true.
You know what I mean? True, isn't it? And mine. Yeah. Oh, I better not say that. Actually, Charlotte done mine. Carfix, quickly sound off about Burnley. How are you feeling?
I don't really care, to be honest, because it's Burnley. It's going to be 0-0. It just is. It's going to be a shit game. It's going to be one of those where we look at it and go, you know what? If we get a 1-0, I'm going to take it. And it's going to be one of them where you want someone to headbutt someone because it's Burnley. It's Sean Dyche, man. He annoys me. He's one of those where I'd love him on a night out, but I hate him on a football pitch. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
You know what? This show was so positive until you came in. I regret my decision asking you to jump in.
Me?
There.
Hang on a minute. You're calling me the negative one. Are you all right?
We've just all been positive here.
All right.
Have you not just watched the show?
Forget it. Right, we're going to win 6-0.
Yeah,
we're going to win 6-0. We're going to win 6-0. Donny van der Beek's going to come on and score a hat-trick. He's going to lift his shirt up and go, "Thank you, Karthik." And then we're going to win the league.
Karthik, quickly tell us. We're desperate to know before we give our score predictions. We're desperate to all know. Did you give, because we know you're really well-esteemed coach, did you give him any tips and pointers to suit him Manchester United a bit better? Did you have a chat with him? You say, "I met Wayne Rooney and I'm the reason why he was a success despite meeting him after his success"?
I don't know if you heard, Ben. I'm not a coach. I'm a YouTuber.
Oh, okay. Right. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Let me just quickly do the Kermit emoji again.
Yes.
Oh, dear. Right, I'm going to leave now. Bye.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Bye. Stu, score prediction. Go.
I'm going to go 3-0. But let me. Can I just touch on Cavani, because I missed out on that part of the conversation?
I thought he was going to say Karthik then.
Yeah. Well, I for what I do for my work, I get to interview motorcycle riders and all that type of stuff. But I was fortunate a couple of years ago to interview Andy Cole, and I asked him a couple of things about his career, etc. But I did ask him a question at that time. What did he consider, or who did he consider to be one of the best strikers in the world at that time? And he actually mentioned Cavani. Mm-hmm. And he mentioned Cavani not because of his undoubted ability, but he says he was the sharpest he's ever seen in the box. Now, you're talking about a player, by the way, who was dynamite with his back to goal in a 6-yard area. He could turn and swivel on a sixpence and hit the roof of the net. He was quick, he was dynamic, and he was saying Cavani was almost the ideal striker, and he rated him slightly higher than Van Nistelrooy. And to me, that said a lot, because Ruud is one of our finest strikers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Can I just hit on one more point on that? We've done an interview with Jonathan Johnson, who's a really well-established reporter and journalist in France for Equipe. That is the name of the journal. Equipe, yeah. And he covers PSG and has done for a number of years. And he said whether Cavani's at the end or not depends on how he recovers from the injuries he had. He said, let's not forget he got back in the team over the star man Icardi, the PSG side, despite being written off. He said, if he can guarantee us one thing, he said that whatever happens over the next 12 months, United fans will love Edison Cavani. And we will see younger players better because of his influence. And I'll tell you what, all those boxes are ticked right now. And I'd say that a big part of what Gary Neville said, and which I completely agree with, Greenwood can become a better player quicker if Cavani stays longer. Yeah. And I completely agree with that.
So do I. And the other thing is, we scored a couple of goals over our last couple of games we wouldn't have scored if Cavani had been on the field.
Exactly.
We wouldn't have scored that second.
I just wish, like I said earlier on, I just wish that our team, our midfielders and our not so. I think our defenders are really good actually on the ball. Actually, I think Maguire's one of the best passers on the team. But I wish they'd just take more risk with their passing forward, because Cavani makes the runs. If we find him, he scores twice as many goals.
Absolutely.
With risk comes reward. Anyway, score prediction, man. Go for it.
2-0.
First goal scorer? Who are you going for?
I'm going to go for Cavani, actually. I am going to go for it.
Yeah, nice. James?
I'll go 2-0 as well. Harry Maguire.
Yes, James. Ooh. Yes. Vin?
I'm going to go for 2-1. I think we'll concede. Somehow it's going to be a sketchy goal that we concede. But we'll also score 2. Rashford's going to score, and then Cavani.
Get in the live chat, guys. Let us know your score predictions. I'll put them up on screen quickly. If you quickly get in the live chat, then I'll get them up there. Jeff, what about you?
I'm going to go 3-1 because we're going to give up that set piece goal, I guess. Scorers would be Cavani, and then Bruno might get his groove back. And my hot take goal would be from McTominay. So,
interesting. Gary?
I was supposed to say the same thing with Jeff. I was hoping Scott would score, but since he took that, I'll go for 3-1. We'll concede the set piece of someone's head from Burnley. Well, Cavani, I'll probably score a brace, and then for the last goal, I'd have either Bruno or Rashford.
I thought Jeff was going to go Lindelof from midfield.
As a holding midfielder, right?
As a holding midfielder, to put one in,
I am going to go. I'm going to go 3-1. I'm definitely going to. I'm in agreement with you guys. I think we'll concede at some point. I'm hoping it won't be the fact that we come from behind. I actually think that it could be one of those. If we're really on our game from the off,
that might be the case, man. That might be the case.
I hope not. I really hope we can from the off just get the game done within the first half and then concede one in the second. We couldn't even care less. As long as we win, I literally don't care at this point. We've got through the season. What I'm more interested to see is the team against Leeds after a week in training, because I think people really underestimate how important it is being on the training ground and learning from the manager and the management team. So, yeah, but hey, we take one game at a time. It's Burnley next. It's Sunday. Make sure you join Temi on the Match Reaction Show. On Sunday, he is going to be live straight after the game. There's no AFU Uncut tomorrow because we're all actually busy tomorrow evening, funnily enough, as soon as we can all get out to a pub now and enjoy a beer garden. I hope you guys are as well. Thank you for watching. Hit subscribe. I know, Jeff, right? Us Brits were now back in beer garden. You can't believe
We're all
it.
stuck at home here in Manila. So
Are you? Oh, sorry, guys. Sorry to the Reds around the world that can't be, but for us Brits, we're getting there again. Get in the comments. Let us know what you think. Put your starting 11s in there. Thank you to Stu. Thank you to James. Thank you to Jeff. Thank you to Vin. Thank you to Gary. Jeff and Gary, I know have got up super early for this, so thank you guys. And Vin, what time is it where you are?
It's about 3 in the afternoon, so
he's across the pond.
Time to hit the pub.
Oh, nice. Oh, you're into the pub now as well. Lucky you. Well, I think I would, but I think it's frowned upon at 11 at night. COVID comes out after 10 o'clock, as we've learned in this country. So, yeah, there we go. Thank you for watching, guys. We will be back with another Fan Zone, as I said, for the review of the Burnley game straight after with Temi. Until then, Monday, we've got a George Best special. Join me for that because it's going to be frigging epic. For now, I'm going to say stay safe, people. Enjoy the weekend and speak soon.
Hey, guys.
Bye for now.